So we were talking about the difference between men and women, and we got onto sex workers, and he was like, a woman would never hire a male sex worker. I'm like, bullshit.
Oh, we would. I think a lot of them would just don't know where to go.
We don't know where. They're not in the back page of the paper.
And also they're much more expensive for us to hire.
So expensive because we got to hire them for longer so we could talk to them to make sure we want to fuck them. I can't just fuck.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Shooters Gotta Shoot podcast. I am your host, Erica Spera, and I have a fantastic guest for you today. So first of all, welcome back to the show, okay? Just for everybody here listening, because we took a little hiatus, but we're back. As you've seen, we've had a handful of episodes, and I'm back in New York currently, so I figured let's get some New York guests for you guys. So if you want to support the show, the biggest thing you could do is join our Patreon, which is patreon.com/shootersgottashoot, and that's an extra episode for you guys every week, and you can help get to vote on guests I have come on, different things we do on the show. So I give you a little power there, all right? You give me a little money, helps me get the studio, I give you a little power. So patreon.com/shootersgottashoot. So without further ado, I want to get to our guest because I'm very, very excited to have her on. She's been on my list for a long time. You might have seen her This Is Not Happening story on Comedy Central. Absolutely hilarious. And if you're a fan of podcasts, I don't know how you haven't heard of her if you haven't. She's from the Guys We Fuck show. Everybody put your hands together for Krystyna Hutchinson.
Ooh. Hi, Erica. Thanks for having me.
So excited to have you.
Yeah.
This worked out great. We've already been gabbing away while we're setting up the cameras here. So you just said you love sitting.
Oh, I love it so much.
You can do anything sitting.
Yes.
I'm going to go with this up top, all right? You are somebody who is known to love giving head.
Yeah.
Okay? Preferable position of giving head, sitting. I don't know if we can even say standing as an option.
I don't do that sitting.
Knees, lying down.
I like when the guy's lying down.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
That's almost the missionary of giving head.
of head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because then I'm like, you just relax.
Okay.
You know?
I was like, kind of a baller move. You just pull up a chair. That's what I imagined.
Hey, honey, just stand right there. I gotta get dick level. Dick level.
Well, I feel like if the dude's standing in any way, sometimes it's very annoying. They start to move, and you're kind of like, This is a one person show, okay? You're just watching it with your dick. Yes. But I was like, you're someone who's known to love giving head, and this was going to be one of my first questions for you up top, okay?
Yeah.
You're like, I love giving head, love blowing a dude. What's it like to be an empath? Can we start there?
I hate it. I cry every day. Not when I'm giving head, but like I cry all the time. That's why, it's so funny. I never really made that connection, but that probably is why I like it. Because I just like when other people are happy.
It feels that way for me because I think I'm the furthest thing from an empath.
Well, the other
Not that I hate giving head.
Yeah.
But the amount that you love it makes me think I hate it. Does that make sense? You're
yes,
like a gay man where I'm like, I thought I liked penis, but then I met Krystyna. And
the other day, I gave a beach and it was so great. And I was cocky about that for like 3 days. I'm still like... Fuck out of my way.
You're like, it gives me self-confidence.
I beep
actually.
it.
It's actually very
it really does. It's like a form of self-expression.
True.
True.
And you're in a long-term relationship now, so for people who don't know, you've been with your guy 4 years?
I think. I don't know.
Like
we were so on and off and like toxic and like will they, won't they, and we're broken up. But I think 3.5, maybe 4. Honestly, don't know. My brain, COVID totally fucked up my perception of time.
Yeah, that time doesn't count for any of us. I'm 30.
I think 3.
I'm a hot, fresh 30-year-old.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Good for you.
Officially, that's my age because of
30?
COVID. 33 technically, but
whatever.
We've counted COVID years. Remove them from our lives. Exactly. We're all a few years younger.
Yeah.
I think we all should. So I'm very curious, since you have a very different perspective, or at least experience than me in relationships. You've had, well, many things. But you've had like a few long-term relationships.
Yeah.
Truly been in love.
Yeah.
So I love interviewing guests that are in different situations than me. I've yet to experience this.
Yeah.
One day, everybody. Join the Patreon. It helps. So I have a question for you. Being with people very long-term and also being, a very sexual person, what do you feel like keeps, the love and spark alive?
Well, date somebody whose parents bullied them and she'll love you forever.
Like they don't talk to their mom, and you're like, I slide right in.
I don't talk to either of my parents, but I think it's because of that. I really crave love. Like I crave like a loving, caring relationship in my friendships too. But I'm not like a touchy feely person. Like I intimacy is a little, but if you're my romantic partner, it's game on. So I think, and also just being nice to each other, like doing like really cute things, like leaving a little funny sticky note or like just joking. Like my boyfriend and I talk to each other all the time, and half of it we're just making cartoon voices.
No, that's very you.
Yeah.
That's very you. I would be very entertained if I did it. I for sure would.
And he's the funnier one in the relationship, which is great. So I'm like, you make me laugh. I don't want to make people laugh all the time.
This came up when I was on your pod recently, we recorded, where Corinne said something like, one of her top things is like, are you fun?
Yeah.
In general, are you fun is what she looks for in someone. And it's made me think like, I really don't think I've dated someone that like truly made me laugh.
Really?
Yeah, but also we're in the comedy world that I'm like, I never really paid attention to that because I feel like I'm one of the toughest critics.
Right.
We're hanging around comedians all the time.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more, can you hang? Are you fun? Can you hang? Can you take a joke?
Oh my
like,
God,
can you give a little bit
That's
of,
number one.
Roasting here and there? I'm like, oh, okay. All right. You can get in here.
Yeah.
But I haven't made it a goal. I feel like so many women do rank that top of, they are funny. They make me laugh.
Yeah.
And I've made it more like, do we laugh together? Do we have the similar sense of humor?
I mean, that's also important. That's also important. But I like being, when your partner makes you laugh like a lot, like they kind of put on like a song and dance for you all the time. And it's just, it's really nice.
You're like, it's nice. I was about to be like, and it sucks to have to perform. No. And you're like, I love it.
No, well, my boyfriend loves it. I can tell he's never, he's told me this. He's never dated somebody that brings out this like very childlike goofiness in him, which I was like, oh, wow, hell yeah. Cute. And I could tell he like enjoys leaning into that part of himself. So he'll do like sometimes when he's on the road and we haven't talked to each other in a while and he comes back, he just like hits me with all these like sketches.
He's like, I had no one to run this by.
I had no one to get this off my chest to.
He's like, no one wanted to hear it.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm curious to poke you more about this empath thing. Also because I know we started sexually, and I feel like because of your pod, you probably come on pods and everybody's always like sex.
Sometimes, yeah. Now that I'm in my 30s, everyone's like, have more adult stuff they want to talk about. Yeah. I mean, I'll talk about any of it.
No, I remember seeing something about you talking about being an empath, and I think it was after your first kind of big breakup.
Yeah.
Where you discovered, you're like, oh, this is something I have.
Yeah.
And I don't know. First, how did you kind of come to discover that?
I always thought something was wrong with me, but then, I mean, there was something wrong with me, but when you feeling like I would go out in my 20s all the time to bars with my girlfriends and stuff and get drunk and party and dance on bars. I hated every second of that, but I didn't know I hated every second of that until COVID. Cause I was like, I thought I was this, budding like social butterfly. I didn't like that the whole fucking time. I need like really quality connection with people. And you're not going to get that like going out to a bar, So I like a good home, like a hangout in the apartment. Like those are my favorite things. But yeah, I'm just sensitive. I'm really sensitive to people's emotions, and I'm sensitive when people are mean. It makes me so sad and depressed.
Like not even mean to you.
Yeah, just mean to people. Like mean to like in the news, the politicians. I'm just like, it's just so, it's so bleak. And
the definition of empath is basically you feel like everyone's feelings around you.
Yeah.
So even someone you don't know very well is upset.
Yeah.
You like truly feel for them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say this, but almost like brings your mood down with them a little bit.
Sometimes. Now that I know it, the knowledge is power. You can kind of navigate it. So like if somebody comes at me with something really heavy, like I have a Patreon where I do like I call it group therapy. And people talk about like really intense shit, like sad, bleak stuff. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I'm totally good with that because I know that awful things happen. That's why when Corinne and I started Guys We Fucked, and as it got bigger, she had to go into therapy because she didn't realize everybody was fucked up. And I already knew everybody was fucked up. So I was like, oh, this surprised you? Shit.
You just need to vent.
That sucks.
I have a lot of friends in therapy. They're like, I just need my venting session for the week is really what it is.
Yeah. And now somebody can talk about something. Like in relationships, it used to be really tricky because when my partner was having an issue, I took it on as my issue. That's codependent. That's not empath. But now if my partner's going through something, I'm just, you're there for them and you make them laugh when it's appropriate, or you just go, that sucks. I've learned to just say that.
Yeah, because I was curious, like, being an empath, what are ways you felt like it did actually kind of hurt you in dating with people? Like, did you feel like you were almost more easy to manipulate in some ways?
Oh, hell yeah. I think the one of the first lines I wrote that when Corinne and I wrote a book a couple years ago, this is like 8 years ago.
It's a great book.
I wrote, I'm a narcissistic sociopath dream girl.
Yeah. Because they can always tell you a sad story and you suddenly feel bad for them.
And I really oh, that's terrible. Yeah. And I still fall for it. Like, I'll watch documentaries about like the worst type of people. And in the beginning, I'm like, they're not that bad. And then they're
or it's
always
not their fault.
Yeah.
What happened to them as a child? That's
the freaking chimp crazy.
Everyone's talking about that. I gotta get into it.
I'm fascinated by this. And I there's something that gets under my skin about people that play victim. And I know it's a human thing. I have certainly done it. But when people this woman got caught in a lie and just started fake crying to get out of the lie, and they fucking bought it. And I'm like, die in a fire. Fuck off. If you're gonna throw these emotions around and they're bullshit, die in a fire. Die in a fire.
See, but I have a weird thing with crying. It's taken me many years to even be like comfortable crying in front of people.
Are you serious?
Yeah, for a very long time, I could count on one hand the people that have even seen me cry.
Oh my God.
I don't know if that
came opposite people in that respect.
Yeah, so it's like when you're like, I'm an empath. I'm like, I think we could not be further apart on that. So I don't know what the opposite of an empath is on the emotional spectrum.
Bitch.
I do it's not that I don't feel for people, but it's, I don't know, not especially someone I don't really know.
Yeah.
Then it's much harder for me to
It's great that it doesn't affect you. That's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it still has. When I'm dating someone and because then you're invested. When you're emotionally invested, you do care.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, when you're upset, it does upset me too.
Yeah.
The way, I feel like I've mainly heard this from parents, where my mom would say this to me. It's like, when your kids hurt, you hurt.
Yeah,
and
I've heard that.
A true, deep connection you have.
One thing as the empath thing comes up in relationships is if I'm dating is mad at me or mad at someone or whatever they're feeling, I know what they're feeling. And I fucking hate that. It's like, I'd rather learn that you're feeling something instead of like, now I have anxiety. Cause I'm like, why are you being weird? What's going on? And I'm not a great communicator. So it just comes out as like, the fuck is your problem? And that's not nice.
Is anyone a great communicator though?
Some people are.
Yeah. You really think so?
Yeah. I've met some. My co-host is a great communicator.
True. But then I think Corinne also sometimes ices people out.
Sure, yeah. But that's her style. That's like a style that she prefers.
Exactly.
Like, you fuck her over, bye forever.
Yeah, I'm more of a Corinne than a Krystyna. I would say, probably.
You can call. I'll take you back, maybe. You'll never know.
Yeah, when I say I'm done with you, people know I mean it.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to convince her.
I have so much compassion that I'm almost putting a challenge to myself. I always give myself little homework assignments for self-improvement, but also just experimenting because we're comics. So I'm like, can I have compassion for the most fucked up person? Can I find it in myself? I have a dear friend who was in one of those abusive relationships that we've talked about on Guys We Fucked for a decade. And it's never hit home for me. I've never had a friend in that situation. Yeah. Now I do. And it's bad. She was pregnant. He hit her, rape, all of it. Oh, financial abuse.
That, you mean?
And it's like the worst. This is one of the worst people I've ever heard of. And I'm like, there was a part of me that I'm like, can you find compassion for this person? Not a goddamn ounce.
Yeah.
Not a goddamn
don't even try with me.
Yeah. But then as I can be so sweet, I also like people like that. Like you should die slowly in front of everybody who you've ever respected. Okay. And in a humiliating way. It's like I have such opposite sides. It's so exhausting.
Okay. No, I mean, it makes sense. There's a line for you. It's just your line is farther than my line to get you to hit that point.
Yeah.
You screw me over once. I'm like, never again.
I'm like, yeah,
delete it from everything.
Maybe you didn't mean it. Yeah, but if you cross that type of line, you're just done. But when someone hurts me, this is not empath. This is just, I think, growing up with the parents I grew up with. My immediate instinct is to hurt you back way harder. And that's not nice.
Would you say that's most women though? I feel like that's most women.
I have desperately looked for that quality in other people so that I don't feel so alone. I don't know that I've seen it this intense.
I think it shows in different ways.
Yeah.
For me, I've learned not to literally be like, I'm going to hurt you back directly.
Okay, that's great.
But for me, a lot of times that more drives me to be like more successful. Does that make sense?
That's awesome.
Like,
yes.
I'll work hard where I'm like, you're going to see my face everywhere.
Always
and
stay
you will
gracious.
never escape me.
Always stay gracious. Best revenge is your paper.
Yes.
That's my favorite Beyonce
Yeah,
quote.
it's a Beyonce quote. Yes, yes, yes.
But that's great. That's perfect. And then that's like the most productive use of that feeling.
Yeah, good work. Go work that way. I don't know. Lately, I felt very unmotivated in life at the moment. So I've been kind of going through a little something with that.
Yeah.
But particularly, I felt no horniness. It's very interesting.
I imagine it's time saving.
I guess, yeah.
Because then you don't have the need to like seek out. That's a lot of work. Dating's so much work.
Yeah, but it's like a double where it's like, sometimes it'd be like, okay, lack of horniness. Like, I don't really care if I'm having sex. But then there still would be a drive with like, wanting to find someone and be in a relationship.
Yeah, intimacy.
And at this moment, I'm like, I could never go on a date again. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't understand why dating is so... I've gotten so many bad dates that I'm like, are you even here? Where are you, dude?
Yeah, you'd be
Why'd
surprised.
you agree to this?
I don't know.
It's like, it's confusing. I don't really quite understand what's happening.
Yeah. How many dates, if a date is fine, let's say a date's fine, it's not horribly bad, but it's not like the great and like sparky. Because we've talked about this where you're like, oh, that's anxiety, that's butterflies, that's not good. Where's the line with you for like determining like I should go out on another date?
If I'm intrigued.
Intrigued.
I want to be intrigued by you. If there's no intrigue, no.
Does intrigue just mean like I enjoyed talking to them?
Yeah, I want to know more about you. I want to know more about you. If I'm curious about you. If I'm not curious about you, I'll never talk to you again. Okay.
Because how do you feel when people say, a lot of people are like nervous on a first date? And so they're not truly opening up, and a lot of people are great people and just don't make great.
I mean, if you're over 22 and you're nervous, like how nervous though, right? Like, because
not like visibly nervous.
Yeah,
but it's like a. Hey, maybe they were nervous. Like it takes some people time to open up. We're just like so open about our lives.
I do forget that
out the gate.
Yeah,
that I also understand.
Like, so my mom tried to kill herself the day before I moved to college. Like, what's your thing? Like,
we're like, it's all on the internet. You could look us up. You could find some subreddit that just summarizes it for you.
I don't look up the guy before I go on a date with them. Do you?
I don't.
Yeah, because I want to know. Teach me about you.
Well, I just also feel the same way. I would hate if someone was like listening to me for years.
Yeah.
And I'm you know too much information.
That's a weird power dynamic too.
It's odd.
Yeah.
Also, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
I will get caught.
You'll
if
complete
I look
one
up
of my
stuff
sentences.
Yeah. I'll just flat out be like, I saw this on your Instagram. Yeah. I don't know. Who am I kidding? How did I know you were just in Japan? How else did I know that?
Yeah.
Like I slipped up. Entirely. I'm not like well planned enough to track hiding that.
Do you Instagram stalk?
You
stalk lightly.
I'm not intrigued. I'd give it a few days before I really creeped around. Because what sucks is I feel like that's the thing that can give you such an ick early that I do think is unfair. You don't really know people.
Because early, it's the ick it's such a delicate environment early on. You can get the ick and then you're like, I'll never again.
But I think my theory is most icks are bullshit and you should like ignore and go past it. But I understand because we all get them.
It's
like
ick.
Dad jokes are an ick for me. But then also everyone's like, really? Does that make someone a terrible person? I'm like, no. That's me being a snotty comedian and I don't like a cheesy pun. Like that's just my personality.
Yeah.
That I'm like, no, sexy. I still would keep going out with the guy. It's not like he made one dad joke. Put him out to pasture. You know what I mean?
That could shoot him in the head.
Bad.
Shoot him in the head. And that I feel like something like a dad joke that could be nerves.
Yes, I don't know.
Do you have what's your occupation on dating apps?
Oh, so this is very interesting. I for a very long time have not had anything, and nobody fucking asks.
Men, they don't care. They don't fucking care. They don't give a fuck. A whole soul, baby.
Yo,
I don't care if she got a job.
So also, like, I'm very, like, I'll be on dating apps a couple months and then I just, like, delete them. I get bored or whatever.
I forget that not putting an occupation is an option.
It's
very
so
smart.
funny. I have fully been on dates with people. I'm like, men do not ask questions. They don't know my job. They have no idea what neighborhood I live in. Like, I don't even know if they know I have siblings. Like, it's fascinating where you're like, this man really has not gotten to know me on many levels.
Yeah.
However, though, it's a catch-22, right? I'll be a little like, it's crazy. They don't care to know about my work. At the same time, I would never advise people to talk about work on early dates, I do feel like it's not topic you truly connect. Like, keep it light on work talk is what I would say.
I would say I want to know what the person's job is because I'm curious, like, how have they orchestrated their life? Like, how much is having fun important to you? What's important to you? Is it money? Is this a job that you want to quit eventually to do something else? Like, work is because we have the best job. So it's like, I want you to have a cool job too.
Yeah, but that's different if you're going like, what is your work-life balance?
Yeah.
Are you a workaholic?
Yeah.
Are you, I used to work this job, but I actually pivoted because I wanted more free time. I wanted more balance.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I had a friend recently actually be not interested in somebody because of kind of where they were with their work stuff.
Oh.
But she was like, I really very much respect that he knows what he likes and what he wants.
Yeah.
And he was very like, I love that my time is like at its optimal place.
Yeah.
Work-life balance, this and that. But he was kind of like, I do want to do something different, but where I move, I'm probably going to have to take a pay cut, this and that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was like, I think that's great. And I actually thought that would be a really great balance for her because she's very demanding in her work and has to work crazy hours. And that's the thing we've kind of talked about where I'm like, well, you're in a position, she makes like very good money. So I'm like, well, you're in this fortunate position that I'm like, you really could be the person that hits on, the cashier at Target.
Yeah.
Like where you're just like, that guy's great. And who fucking cares how much money he makes?
Right.
But I was like, that's what's nice. Not that you have to do that.
I wonder if having somebody with a crazy work schedule like her would completely erase any possibility of feeling guilty.
Well, see, this is the hard part, right? She would like kids, and I'm someone that would also like kids. And what's hard for most women is like, you could be the most career woman ever, have a kid, and suddenly like you don't want to be the most career woman ever.
Right.
And then you're the one making the move to be like, oh, I want better hours.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a pay cut.
Yeah.
I want to be able to, pick my kids up from school, this and that.
Yeah.
And so I understand with like picking a partner for life, if you want marriage and you want babies.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, it sucks if I choose the option that's like, oh, I will have to stay in this job, in this position, possibly.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, blessing and a curse in a way.
I like the idea of a house husband.
I mean, yeah, concept of a wife in general is the best concept I've ever heard of.
I want a wife real bad.
Yeah,
but
I come
the
home
second
and there's
option is a
dinner on the
house
table.
husband. Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is why men were so cocky for so long. They got treated like fucking kings.
Yeah. Or like men are like, how come my wife doesn't give me blowjobs? I'm like, have you ever made dinner?
Have you ever
come home to a clean house?
Krystyna?
Yeah.
I love cleaning too. Oh my God. I love it more than head.
Really?
I love cleaning. It is like, it's so fulfilling to me. It's meditative.
I mean,
I clean
I find
all
that
the time. And I'm like deep clean, crevices, you scrub the counter, then you index it. You know what I mean? Like and when
you're going to clean, do it right.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And you feel when you walk into a room that's been like cleaned, you're like, I can make the next Oscar winning movie in this room. It's just so relaxing.
I hear you. You know what's interesting though? My theory was always people that are very, very clean often come from a very clean house. So like your level of clean to you is usually up there. My mom kept our house very, very clean.
That's awesome.
So then like when I had just like roommates and stuff in college, I was like, oh, people are dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom was half and half.
A little bit. Like my mom kind of did that for us.
What?
So then, like, when I was living on my own, I remember one time I came home and I gave her, like, a hug, and I was like, man, thank you for keeping this house so nice. I was like, I didn't realize how much work it is. Like, I'm like, you clean, and then your roommates come home, they fuck everything up. Like, I was furious.
And
I was
also,
like, I slaved away all day.
Yeah, totally. I have a 1-bedroom apartment, and, like, you got to dust that shit, like, every 4 days or something. I'm like, this shit, it's hard for me to clean a 1-bedroom. It's a lot of work. I don't have children, and I live alone, and that's hard. I'm like, it is, honestly. I was thinking about how, like, I didn't give my mom enough credit for a lot of things she had to endure. I'm like, cleaning that big of a house, like crazy, but also like so much more sexism than we had. Just all of it, just all the things. I'm like, wow, I'm in the phase of my life now where I'm old enough to go, I didn't really give you credit for dealing with all that shit.
Yeah, I remember being like, it took me so long, and 1-bedroom studio.
Yeah,
I'm like, that took that long for a studio.
Yeah,
who wants a house?
Yeah, I know.
I don't want one.
I kind of want one. I want one in the woods. I want a flock of goats, a herd of goats, and I want to hug them with my tits out in the woods, like a goat, like
I didn't see
with
that
no shirt on. And I want to
like New York City till you die.
I want to keep that, but my boyfriend and I are moving into his place next month.
Oh, okay.
Talk about clean. I'm doing a deep cleaning of his place before I move in. That he's not a dirty person, but it's not up to my standards.
So I had my roommate actually. she was, you'll probably like this. She was very excited. There was one weekend, you know, she usually is at her boyfriend's for the weekend. And some Sunday morning, he was getting up early to go on a hike and she wasn't going. He was going with friends. She was like, and she's her hairdresser. She's like, I work Saturdays, you know, whatever. But she looks at me, she goes, I am so excited to clean.
Yes. I totally get that. I totally get that.
And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, she's like, I just want to like clean everything down. Like he's just not as clean as I am. And she's a little OCD with that stuff. And so she was like talking with me about how do you navigate, I'm going to clean his place, but I don't want it to be offensive to him. Like
in what way?
Basically, she's like, he's going to come home and see that it cleaned.
Yeah.
And like, what do I say? What do I do?
He should say thank you.
Oh, I mean, absolutely, he would say thank you.
Yeah.
But I understand, like, I would be a little offended.
Really? Wait, tell me more about this.
A little bit, because you'd kind of be like, do you think my place isn't clean?
Oh, it was his place?
It's his place.
Oh, okay,
Not our place. It was his place.
I mean, I've done that for my boyfriend. I've cleaned his, like, did a deep cleaning, and he's like, this is amazing, thank you. Because he doesn't like cleaning. I don't think, some guys like cleaning, but I think most don't.
Yeah, but do you see how someone could take it a little offensive?
Right.
If they don't see it as dirty.
It depends on the dynamic of the relationship. Like if the
and they've been together.
Like if that person's passive aggressive and you come home and your house is clean, I'd be like, the fuck does this mean? Like, fuck you trying to say?
I think it's just his first time she was trying it.
Yeah.
So she was like, okay.
Okay, I didn't realize it was his
How do we navigate? And I said, well, just say to him, I stay here a lot and I just wanted to do something nice for you.
Yeah.
And I figured, I'll clean the bathroom, this and that.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, that's good. I think I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. She was like, I don't know. He seems like he might feel a little touchy.
Did he get offended? Did he end up getting offended?
It was he was very like, you didn't have to do that. He was very like, it's,
oh, okay.
I hope you feel like you don't have to like do stuff like that.
That's nice.
Which again, great sign.
Yeah, great sign. Yeah.
5-star man right there.
People show you who they are.
Yeah. He's like this. We don't have to do the gender roles.
Yeah.
And I live with her and I'm like, oh, I'm a clean person and she cleans after me. Like she's just.
Wow. She's super clean.
But I know to kind of like, oh, she's in the zone. She got a podcast on, headphones.
Yeah.
I just hide in my room.
She gets something out of cleaning that I probably get out of it too. Like something a little extra, a little meditation.
Yes. Which I like it too in that way where you're like, okay, restart the week. Start
every once in a while I'll be too ambitious and I'm like, I'll get all the cleaning stuff out. I'm like, I'm gonna scrub this head to toe, and then I'm halfway through the bathroom. I'm like, this sucks. I want to go to bed.
Actually, you know what? The job thing reminded me. I actually have a story recently. I re-logged into a dating app, and I don't know. You can always select like, do you re-log in through your Apple ID or email? Mm-hmm. And I never remember which one I do, so I do. And I guess it had my old job on there, and I don't remember. So I like set up some date with some guy, and then I realized on his thing it didn't have like a job listed. So first we were just going to get dinner. Like one of his opening lines was like, what kind of cuisine would you want to get to eat? And I was like, fuck it. All right. Thai food. Like, let's do this. Because I'll get real lazy with apps sometimes. I go, I don't know. Is it just more fun if we're just like, you're cute. Let's just meet and, you know.
Yeah, you got to meet right away. Because then
you have to
there might be a spark that you would miss out on talking. Like like if you're DMing with each other, like how sparky can you get there?
Right. Or the bright side of apps is they can be used in the immediate if you want. Yeah. If there suddenly does become a week where you're like, okay, actually I want to get back out there and like, I got time. Yeah. You could set up 3 dates in a minute. Yeah. If you really want to. Yeah. Like, okay. And then he added in a movie. He was going to a movie before dinner and then just reached out, was like, oh, would you want to see this movie actually before? And I was like, why not? Yeah. What do I have to lose? But the movie was at an odd time, and this is a very LA thing that people like do not go out at night. It's very odd. Really? Yeah, the movie was like 4:45. And so I kind of jokingly was like, well, that's kind of early. I was like, what do you do for work? And he just goes, same thing you do. And then I instinctively said, you're a comedian and podcaster? Like, what? And then he said, no. He's like, no, that's not what's on your profile. And I was like, what's on my profile? I go and I look, and it was just my old job. Okay. And then I said, I'm sorry. I was like, that's my old job. I got let go from like a year ago. I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'll update that. My bad, you know? But instinctively, I was like, I had gone on dates through that app. No one had asked me about it. No one pointed that out to me. Wow. Men don't. I was like, no one really cared. Yeah. So then I was like, oh, so what is it that you do? He goes, same as you. I'm like, no. Buddy. That's not. And then he got like very weird and defensive. That's and then I was like, oh, I think you currently don't have a job. Which I was like, so I'm not going to shame you about it. I don't care. Yeah. But it was very weird and dodgy. Yeah. So then the next day comes and I'm like, I just have a weird, not great feeling about the situation because the convo took a turn. And I was like, well, we made the plan the day before. I have the day and the time in the theater. I was like, I'm still just going to send a text that just goes, oh, we're still good for later. Right? Because I look up the theater and you could see the seats that are booked. We have 2 seats together, absolute back row. Like
against the wall. Finger you.
And I was like, this I don't like this. Like all of a sudden I was like, this feels not bright.
Were the other seats
smart.
available?
All the seats are up. We're the only two people in the whole theater. And I'm just like, why am I in the absolute back
That's really
row?
funny. There's so much that could mean.
Yeah, I'm just like, then I'm like, maybe I'll just bail for the movie. I'll be like, something came up. I'm busy. I'll meet you. I don't know. Like, but I was like, am I standing this person up if I just don't show?
Yeah.
Because the plans were made the day before.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, whatever.
You know, like,
it's not.
Well,
You're
I
not
just
a bad
said, I'll
person.
send the text to confirm. Like, we'll figure this out. I'm not going to be that girl that just doesn't show, doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not my style. So I was like, okay. He doesn't say anything, and then I make a cutoff time. I'm like, if I don't hear anything generously by 3:45, because I gotta like leave my house.
Yeah, you need like an hour
then
to get
it's
there.
good. I don't hear anything. I'm like, all right. Then it's like 4:20, and I just think, let me go check the seats again. I see the one seat has been removed.
Stop. Stop. Ouch, dude.
I screenshotted and sent it to him just to be like, dude, I see you.
Too, yeah.
I see what you're doing. Like, what are you doing? This is so weird.
He was the dick there. He ghosted you. He stood you up.
Not just lie. It's not hard to lie in a text. I have no sympathy for this.
Yeah.
Just say, shit, something came up.
I would
gotta
buy
reschedule.
the seat next to him.
I thought about it.
Just
I thought
for
about
shits
it,
and giggles.
just to show up and see the look on his face.
And I would only look at him and not the movie screen. I'm like, go ahead, enjoy the film.
Just be
I don't
a
eat
terror.
popcorn. Just stare. Not even blink. Whole time.
It would be great. Would be great.
I'm so petty. I
thought about it. I truly was just tired that day. I was like, I don't have the energy.
Yeah.
But if I was younger,
if I was in my
younger
20s
and I took my vitamins that day, I would have just gone to the theater to make a point. Because I was like, buddy, if I didn't text you, what was your plan?
To run away when I showed up? Like,
it'd be one thing if both seats are removed. It's like, oh, then he's not going either. You're still going.
Yeah.
You're still going to the movie.
I want to call him.
Yeah, right?
And ask why.
Just odd.
He did that. I just like when people do weird stuff, like weird moves, and you're like, why? And you can't, like, your brain can't wrap, because the human brain wants like completion. It wants answers. It wants it picks out things it doesn't understand right away. Everybody's brain does this. I would just want to, like, so many people, like, they don't get asked why they do these things. I really want to know.
That's what I was like, I gave you an out, like, still good for later.
Yeah.
You could have said, no, sorry, I can't. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
so easy.
So easy.
I think people are so used to fake internet connection that they think that real people are the internet. Like, sometimes it's stand-up. I don't know if you ever feel this in a comedy club where you ask a guy a question in the front row and he just looks at you and you're like, this isn't the internet. I can see you.
I'm real.
I can see that you're not saying anything. Like, stop. And then they snap out of it. I'm like, okay.
Well, that used to be, the line used to be like, I'm not your TV.
Yeah.
So right. Like, the internet makes even more sense. Like, I'm not your phone screen.
Yeah.
I am a human person.
Yeah, you can't do this. Sorry.
No, you can't. I was like, there was another thing I wanted to ask you about. I don't know if you want to get into this. This was from a long time ago, actually. Okay. You talked about on your podcast that you hired an escort one time. Yeah. Which I listened to that episode. I found it fascinating.
Yeah.
If anybody, I don't know what it's called, but go find it.
Cowboys for Angels.
Cowboys for Angels is what it's called? Damn. And I believe, was this kind of after your long-term relationship breakup?
So,
or just...
Noam Dorman, who owns the Comedy Cellar, I was on his he bought me the guy.
He did?
Because I was on his podcast, and Noam is super smart. He's a very smart person. He reads everything, and he's just very intellectual, likes debating.
Yeah.
And so we were on his podcast, and he was telling me that he was like, you know, boys and girls are different. Like, yes. And we were talking about like why? And I go, do you raise your daughter different than you raise your son? He goes, absolutely. And I forget exactly what the specifics. I was like, that's sexist. And he's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. And I said, why? And he's like, oh. And I could tell so we were talking about the difference between men and women, and we got onto sex workers, and he was like, a woman would never hire a male sex worker. I'm like, bullshit.
Oh, we would. I think a lot of them just don't know where to go.
We don't know where. They're not in the back page of the paper.
And also, they're much more expensive for us to hire.
So expensive because we got to hire them for longer so we could talk to them to make sure we want to fuck them. I can't just fuck.
It's also like harder for them to actually be good.
Right.
Yeah. But no, true. It's like we need to be wine and dine. We need the foreplay of the date.
Well, which is why it was
And
such
then
a
actual
great
foreplay.
experience. But like, he was like, a woman would never hire a sex worker. I'm like, that is so, I would totally hire one. He goes, all right, I'll buy you one then. Put your money where your mouth is.
Your money. You mean
Yeah,
Noam's
his
money.
His money.
Yeah. Also, for the record, Noam is like an older dad as well. I don't know his exact age, but
yeah.
50
He's,
plus.
60, 50, late
His kids
50s.
his one kid is almost like 10, I
Yeah,
think now.
yeah.
So now
I
he's
just,
60.
actually just went to his birthday party. How old was
But
he?
I believe he had kids around 50.
I think so. Which
So he's
I
more
was
of an
happy
old
to learn
school
about because
guy.
my
I'm
boyfriend.
not making an excuse for sexism, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. I mean, my dad was straight up sexist. I would be like,
there's
"Why-
a double standard for me.
You're saying I can't do this because I'm a girl?" And he goes, "Yep." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Fuck yeah."
But I was stubborn. My brother and I were so
I
close
was
in
very
age.
stubborn,
I was
yeah.
like right on his ass that I'd be
Yeah.
like, Marcus is allowed to do that, so am I.
Yeah.
And my dad would be so annoyed, and my mom was always
you're
like, she is
right.
never going to let this shit
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
So, like, that's the rule. If Marcus does it, she does it.
Yeah,
Until
that's nice.
my brother got highlights, like the tips.
I'm like,
And I wanted highlights,
Erica-
and my mother was like, son of a bitch.
Fuck.
I fought it so hard. She was right. I
That's
looked
cute.
terrible. I fooled nobody.
Oh, shit.
The sun does not change my hair.
Yeah, your hair is so beautiful.
I have such dark
highlights.
hair.
You don't need any highlights.
And I was getting blonde. I remember my mom being like a lighter brown. I was like,
No.
blonde. Highlights.
We all have been guilty. Yeah, we've all.
Yeah, and then she made me grow those suckers out. She didn't
Oh,
let me just dye it.
no.
Yeah, she taught me a lesson. I have not dyed my hair since.
That's a great mom.
Anyway, sorry, back to...
So anyway, Noam was like, "I'll buy you one." I said, "I'm in a relationship," and he goes, "Okay, well, if you ever get out of the relationship, let me know. I'll buy you one." And I was like,
I love this.
The day after I got out of my 7-year relationship, 7 years is a long time, so most of my 20s, I had a list of comedians I wanted to fuck, like a
good.
list.
Good for you.
So, and I never got to like, I think male comedians are so cute and like, I love them. Like, I think they're so handsome.
They're great
especially
to hook up with, is what I say
great
here.
hookups. Great
Do
sex.
not date them seriously.
Never.
Female comedians such as me and Krystyna.
Different story.
Great to date.
We're fantastic.
But not male comedians.
And male comedians would agree with that.
They would, honestly. They would.
So,
But I think they're good and bad typically because
yeah, they're crazy.
comedians love feedback. We
Yeah.
want noise. We don't want to be bombing in bed. So the male
Never.
comedians at least really try.
On it, that's
They're
a
trying
great
to
way
make
to
something
put that.
happen.
Maybe
They need
that's
feedback.
yeah.
And if they're not getting any, they'll dirty talk you. They'll crowd work you.
Maybe
Like,
that's why I'm
what's
so
going on?
good at blowjobs.
Maybe.
Just the feedback.
Probably.
You
Makes sense.
Yeah.
There you go.
Feedback in your mouth.
But that's my theory on male comics. I'm like,
Yeah.
they want you to orgasm. They
Yeah.
need a crowd reaction. Otherwise, they will be up all night.
Yeah, it's
They
great.
Anyway, but-
so like the day after I went to Noam and I said, "I'm single now." He goes, "Okay."
Give me that money.
And then I picked out the company. Karen and I had interviewed the owner, Garen, who owns the company. They have like an HBO show or
So I was going to say, I think a
some
lot of
TV
people
show.
or women would be like, I don't even know.
I wouldn't know where to look
what
other than
bouts
that.
of the internet to start looking.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, well, I don't want a bad
We
one.
look for, of course, we
want a
look
good
for
one.
escorts. Escorts technically don't have, they're just your date for the night. Okay. You fuck. And so I hired.
Can I ask a very small question?
Yeah, of course.
Do you like give him the money to like pay for the
So-
drinks and stuff? So it's
Oh,
like,
no, I pay for it. I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it because my last relationship I got out of, I started in that relationship 22 or 23, broke. I'm talking Corinne gave me a coupon for a free Subway sandwich once and I cried and I was like, this is going to be 3 meals. Like,
Oh my
that's how
God,
broke
yeah.
I was. But it's like that romantic type of New York broke, you know?
Oh, yes, we all have that.
So
I was so thin.
Yes, so then.
So that's how I know I was doing well in life. I gained weight. I was like, I go out to dinner
Yeah.
now. Fuck
That's
you.
like olden times. Like, that's how
great.
you knew people were wealthy.
Exactly. Bring it back. Stop taking Ozempic. Continue.
You pussies. But
But
yeah.
I'm curious if you could set that up where it's almost like, I want this to really seem like a date.
Yeah.
You're like, send me the bill later. But you pay.
My last boyfriend got weird over the fact that I started making money at the end of the relationship. And I was like, you've seen me broke and I'm like making money off of my dream. How are you not happy for me?
Yeah,
That's
'cause
crazy.
this is after your podcast success.
Yeah. And so he was always like so weird about my finances. So it was expected that I pay when I called to book the person on the website, you get all these pictures. So you pick.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
Imagine if they didn't give us pictures. They're like, women, attraction can grow. It's like, fuck you. I'm literally paying for one.
Yeah.
I'm tired of everyone
I don't
saying
want a
attraction
mystery.
can grow.
Yeah.
In this case, the attraction has to be there. I'm
Yes.
paying good money, and it's not mine, but it's good money.
Yeah. It was $1,000 for 3 hours.
Oh, really? I thought it was even more than that.
No, it was
That's not that bad.
$1,000 for 3 hours. It wasn't too bad.
So you could select just an hour where it's like they come to the house.
Yeah.
And you don't even do
Whoa,
the...
was that like a
I don't know,
a
somebody
tornado?
died. If you've heard that. We're back in New York, baby. Construction.
Yeah, we are. Brat. So I picked the guy and I said, is he available this night? And she's like, yes. And then the woman said, it's like a pimp, but a nice one.
One with an office.
Yes, exactly. She has headquarters. She's like, so just so you know, you're doing 3 hours. You want to meet at a bar or restaurant? I'm like, let's meet at my place and then I'll get us a cab to a bar and then we'll go back to my place. And she goes, you pay for everything. That's the point. Like he's your date. So you take him wherever you want. And I was like, so I actually loved the fact that like I paid for the Uber, I paid for the drinks, and there was no question. So I didn't have to go through this like anxiety inducing, like,
True.
Are you going to be weird because I'm paying for it? Like, don't have a good attitude, He was really sweet, super sweet. And I like interviewed him because I was so nervous because I don't just fuck people. I can't do that. I need to like know you. And then, we went back to my place and I was like, he was sitting like on the other side of the living room and I'm like, so wait, like what if you like don't want to have sex with this date? Like, do you have to? And he goes, no, I don't have to do anything I don't want to. I'm like, that's really cool. How do you know if the person wants to have sex with you? And she's like, well, they're usually sitting closer to me. I'm like, oh fuck.
They're usually not like on a podcast
like
with me.
On the ceiling, like freaking out. And then so we started doing it and he's great. He's a professional.
I mean,
picked
I would
me
hope
up
so.
and carried me around while having sex.
That's very hot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I was giving him a blowjob, but then I was like, oh wait, I don't have to do this.
I was gonna say even on your night off.
I didn't know him enough to like get satisfaction from me out of it. So I was like, oh, and I just stopped midway. No guilt.
Yes. No guilt.
And he was like, whatever you want. And then I gave him the envelope before we had sex, I think. I forget when.
Wait, like a middle foreplay?
No. When did I give him the envelope?
I would assume at the end.
I guess at the end, but the thing was he had to come back because he dropped it when he took his pants off. It fell out of his back pocket.
Funny.
So like
such a woman thing to do too. I'm gonna pay you up front. I have the money.
But like 20 minutes later, I get a knock on my door, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "Am I gonna get arrested?" And it was him, and he goes, "I dropped the envelope. Sorry. Can we?" And we had to like search through my living room. It was like God. It was oddly embarrassing. It was embarrassing for no reason. I don't know why it was embarrassing, but
you're like that's the most embarrassing part was really looking for the envelope.
But I was so comfortable. I'm like, wow, this is a great. Because when I first have sex with somebody, I am not. It takes me a long time to get fully comfortable with a person. So that was cool because there was no expectations. Yeah, that's the only time I've ever felt that.
Did you at all feel though? This is probably gonna be fucked up that I even asked this question, but this is so my brain. Did you at all feel almost like a little bit level of competitiveness though that you almost want to ask them like, where do I rank?
Oh yeah,
with people you've slept with.
Oh yeah,
if they're professional sleeping with people.
I was like. I think I said something like in a flirty way of like, do you want to fuck me? You know, kind of thing. And he said, he's like, when I opened the door, I was very pleasantly surprised.
Well,
and I was like,
know who's ironing.
Hey, right. Because he doesn't know. They don't have a picture of me. They just send a guy to my house. So like that could, you could get a lady that's just like, come over here, mister. And you're like, ugh.
But if someone truly creeps him out, he could essentially bail.
Yes, he could.
And
because
they just
you're
don't have
not
to pay.
paying for sex. You're paying for a date.
Yes,
so he doesn't have to have sex with you.
Okay.
You forget men can say no too.
No, I mean, they absolutely can. I'm just curious. Like,
I forget that.
I guess as the business owner.
Yeah.
How does that work? Where you're like, okay, pick someone else on the side.
But some people really do. I asked him, I'm like, do you ever get hired to like be arm candy for like a red carpet or whatever? He goes, all the time.
Oh, I would assume
super hot. He was so hot. Well, they're all so hot.
Don't PR people already do that with celebrities and it's not for hire?
Probably.
They just will be like, oh,
what a fun job.
We have you start hanging out with this person who has like a lot of clout or is very hot right now, like Timothy Chalamet or whatever. Ugh. I don't know how to say his name.
Chalamet.
Yeah, that guy. Not my type.
Did you say Chalamet?
I don't fucking know.
Like
I don't speak French. Is he French? What is he?
He looks French. Yeah. His parent.
He's apparently from the Bronx. Is this true?
Yeah, he's born in the Bronx. Born and raised. Yeah.
Wild.
And his parents don't look. They don't have a chiseled face at all.
I feel like that's how it works. I feel like the most beautiful people don't make the most beautiful kids. I'm so sorry to say that.
So.
Except
like
for
Cindy
Brad
Crawford,
Pitt, Angelina Jolie daughter.
Yeah.
God
damn. My gosh, she's gorgeous.
Unfair.
And Kai Gerber, Cindy Crawford's daughter, looks exactly like her twin. She's so hot.
Yeah. It's almost like the two beautiful people you hope one person takes over.
Right.
That's why the Angelina Jolie kid is like a beautiful blend.
I mean, my
Stunning
God.
blend.
Of two of the hottest people ever. Yeah.
Unreal.
Pretty sick.
Just... It's very interesting because, I had a question that I was like, I don't know, though, if I could hire an escort because how do they go about with, like, STD testing?
Oh, they're super...
Like, I have herpes, so I don't know if they would even, like, let me hire an escort.
I don't know.
But it's type 1.
He didn't ask me about STIs, but I asked him how often he gets tested. He didn't ask me anything. He wore a condom.
Yeah.
But and even with the blowjob, there was a condom on. And that's when I was like, ugh. I don't want to do this.
Tough. That also kind of sucks for him, but I guess that's
like
his
sex
choice.
workers and porn stars and stuff, they're the safest sexually ever. And so I already kind of came from that knowledge. But I asked him, like, do they make you get STD testing regularly? And he's like, yeah. But we have to wear a condom at all times. I'm like, of course. So he didn't ask me. And I know that, like, with herpes, it's different for everybody, but like you could technically have, like, Dan Savage has said this, like, you don't have to disclose if you're or if you're not something with the viral load and the protection and
well, it's very
a combination
hard to
of
pass it if you know you have it. You're on antiviral meds, all this stuff. I think
it's almost impossible.
The legal law, it depends on states actually, but the legal law is usually like if someone asks you, "Have you ever had an STD or do you have any lifelong ones?" Then you do.
Because everybody technically has herpes. It's
most people have.
It's in you. It's either activated or not activated. I learned.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it's just a lot of people don't know they have it because it's not included in routine testing.
Oh, okay.
So that's why, like, it's interesting with shows that are like The Bachelor, this and that. They do like STD tests.
Oh, nice.
But then a lot of times type 1 herpes, which is what I have, they will say that's fine because it's assumed it's cold sores. Oh, but it's not necessarily. You can have it generally, anywhere, which is what I have. But so that's why I was like, with stuff like that, I'm always curious, like, oh, what was, is there a testing aspect on the other end?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I figured not.
I figured, the only conversation was like, I asked about testing regularly and he said, yes. I assume though, because it was a high-end company. It was very like elite.
Yeah.
Because it's Cowboys for Angels, not for
I was like, is it
clients.
like an Uber? Like if you puke in the Uber, there's just an extra charge. Like if the guy comes up, he's like, I got chlamydia. They're like, that's going to be another $500, Krystyna. I'm sorry.
Clean up fee.
You have to pay for these bills. I'd be like, oh, sure, absolutely. So sorry.
My bad. That was my bad.
Women can't know we have it. That's why I get tested for it routinely. Sorry. But, my bad. Thank you for letting me know. Now I know I have it. Yeah. So shout out to you. But that would just kind of be funny. There's just like an upcharge where it's like, hey, you did pass an STD to one of our clients, and no shame here.
Yeah, it's all good.
We all want to have sex.
It happens. Pass the plate.
Just so you know, and here's a bill.
Yeah.
I'd respect it. I'd be like, well, good business model.
Yeah.
And what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
People get stuff sometimes.
Everybody hurts.
Yeah. Is there anything we haven't gotten into you would like to cover on this topic in general? I usually do ask people for a shooting your shot story. Since this is Shooter's Gotta Shoot, but if you have any off top of mind.
Well, is it necessarily with dating? Because I have an epic one.
Oh,
that's not necessarily
anything.
dating, but like talk about shooting your shot.
Oh, I mean, whatever. I'm here for it. It doesn't have to be.
I was at an SNL party. I interned at SNL. That's why I moved here to New York to intern at SNL because I wanted to be on SNL. That was my first desire.
I could see you on that show. You're great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love Gilda Radner. I was obsessed with SNL, and I was like, oh, if I intern there, I'll have an in. So I moved there. My first internship was with Corinne's company, so that's how I met her. And I interviewed for SNL multiple times and didn't get whatever. I ended up getting it. So I interned there. I knew people, and then years later, so this party that we're at, it's an after party, not an after, an after one, which is they're the fancier ones. This was maybe 3 years ago or 2. I forget, but it was a fancy restaurant. We were downstairs. There was a comic. I think it was Chris Rock hosted or something. So it was all these stand-ups at the party, and I was so excited.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Chappelle was there, Dave Chappelle. Corinne and I had already opened for him in Denver a couple years prior, so he knew us. He was like cool with us. And Lorne. So there was a table. I look over, and to my left was Lorne Michaels, who I was always just like, fuck.
He's the top dog over there.
Yeah, and I was so obsessed with SNL since I was a kid, so I'm like, wow. And Dave Chappelle and Steve Higgins. Steve Higgins is a famous SNL producer, and he's, I think, a second mic on, is it Colbert's show or Tonight Show. So he's like, high up there. And there was all these people at this crowded, and there was a big fancy booth of Dave Chappelle, Lorne Michaels, and Steve Higgins talking to each other.
Damn.
I fucking sat down at their table.
Really?
I was sober. I don't know why I did that. I'm like, what are you, in my head as I was doing, I'm like, what are you doing? And I sat next to Dave, and he goes, hello? And I'm like, he's answering the phone, and I'm like, hey, Dave, it's Krystyna, guys we fucked. He goes, oh, hey, Krystyna, guys we fucked. it was so the wrong thing to do. And I was just sitting there, and then they like weren't including me in the conversation because they shouldn't. It wasn't a security issue because like I said, I was sober, and I'm not like, I'm crazy, but not in that way. I'm not like, hey Dave, what's up? You know? And so I was just talking, and I'm like, yeah. I was trying to like jump into the conversation like it was like double dutch.
That's the worst. And
I was like, I'm going to go. Great to see you guys. And Lauren goes, okay, see ya. I'm like,
he's like, who the fuck is that?
And then there's all these, like, I think it was Monroe Martin or something. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, as I sat down, I saw like 3 stand-up comics going, stop, don't do that. What are you doing?
But it's an unwritten thing. But it's an unwritten thing. Because then you hear the story of the one person that goes right over and says, I'd like to introduce myself, blah, blah, shakes Lauren's hand. And he's like, I respected that he had the balls. Yeah. And so part of you is like, I don't know, fuck it. I'm very in a fuck it mode career-wise right now, but I'm like, I'm just going to ask for stuff and like, whatever.
I don't mind no one likes being embarrassed. It's a bad feeling. But like, I don't really care. Like, it goes away. I embarrass myself all the time.
I had an embarrassing thing recently, and but I didn't even like think about it, because you know how you have people through social media that you like feel like you're friends and maybe closer than you are. So is this guy in high school I knew. We weren't super tight, but we were friends. He was a year younger than me, and since high school now he's out now, and he just got married. And, like, I think him and his husband are, like, one of the hottest couples I've ever seen.
Oh, nice.
I followed, it's like they got married. They were on this, like, beautiful fucking honeymoon through, like, Europe and Spain, all this stuff. So I'm like, you know, you creep people's vacations. It's the best. I love watching the stories. You're on vacation, I'm watching.
I got alerts for your stories if you're on vacation.
Fucking love it. And they both make money. Like, like most guys. Fucking
they're
killing
both hot. They're like clean.
Tons of money. It's crazy. So I'm like stalking every hotel they're going to. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. Like so awesome. So then I come across something in my like For You page or whatever, and it's a funny reel, and it's this gay guy talking. He's like, it's something he's like up. I almost should pull it up and just play it, because I literally know it's in our DMs of a video I sent to this guy. Thinking, I'm like, this is so funny. And it made me think of watching this guy on his honeymoon. And I was not at all thinking like, you know, Erica, I don't think
that's appropriate.
I don't think you guys are this close of friends for you to send him.
I know. Man, we have stories in our head that we think are so real, and they ain't what's happening on the outside of our head.
I know. And now I'm like, oh man, now I have to find his things. Everybody bear with me
so
1
you
second.
sent him this reel?
I sent him this reel, not really thinking. And I'm like, now I'm like, am I blocked? I can't even find him in my messages. I'm like, I know I follow him.
Oh, no.
Where are you? I'm like, I know. I know it. Okay, I got it. I don't want to say his name out loud to embarrass him, but I'm like, okay.
Daniel Schlesinger.
And it's just also, here's the thing though. It's not like I have not messaged this man.
Yeah.
We've messaged about just like random things here and there, blah, blah, blah. He lives in the city. So it's like, you know, it's not like we haven't spoken in 10 years and I out of nowhere send him some video like, this is gay and funny. You'll find it funny.
You're gay. This is gay. You're going to love it.
You're gay. You'll love this. So listen, I think this video is hilarious.
Okay, I'm in Spain right now, and these Spanish guys are so hot. Like, literally, the hottest guys I've ever seen. Something about these Barcelona boys, they're so sexy. All of them. Every single one of them. I haven't met one guy that I wouldn't let take out his thing and bang. And I'm on my honeymoon with my husband in Spain.
Wait,
and I would say that my favorite part is the architecture.
So
but it's just funny. He's like making this video, and his husband pops up, and then he's just like, "Oh, I'm with my husband." Well, I just thought funny, and I think it was late at night. I'm like, "This is hilarious." He'll love it.
Yeah.
I send it to him, not at all thinking, and then immediately I'm like, "Oh no," because I didn't know you can unsend or whatever, or you know how it alerts people you unsend something. I just go, "Oh, this made me think of your Spain trip. I was stalking. Huh? It looks so great."
Yeah.
And then he just goes,
"That's harmless."
He goes, "Haha! Oh my god! Wow, I feel." ... honored ? And I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, I crossed the line.
Oh no, there's a question mark at the end of that.
Yeah, and then I just said, oh yeah, trip looked amazing to me. I just found this funny. Thought you might.
Kept taking that hole. Dig that hole, girl.
Yeah, no, that was pretty bad. He just goes, haha, I totally found it funny. But you know when you're like,
yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I'm never going to message him again. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I've misread situations and I've boldly gone into them. And then sometimes days, like my boyfriend had a big show, this big show. He had a breakup album that he made about his last relationship, and he finally was putting it out. It's very heartfelt. He's a great singer-songwriter. Like, whew. And he was like, oh, I was thinking of having a comic open. Do you want to open? And I was like, sure. And then I was like, oh, at the end I could roast you. And he's like, okay. But he's got a great sense of, he's at the Cellar all the time. He's got such a good sense of humor. So you think roast, you go hard, right?
What do you think?
I did not take into account. I just had like, my mission is to roast this person.
Yeah, you don't
And
know
you're
their
a comic,
crowd, though.
you get high. No, you don't
tough.
know the crowd. They love him. It was sold out. They love his sensitive, beautiful boy side to him. And oh boy, I said some of the jokes and I heard,
No. Oh God. And then you're like, oh, I needed to roast like a wedding toast roast.
Yeah.
That's really light.
yeah.
Oh.
It needs it to be like a piece, like a
As if his parents were there.
Well, his parents weren't there, but like his sister fucking loved it. His sister was cool, but
you know what I mean? Like the vibe, like it was like grandma's here, so it needs to be like a light
be kind.
joke.
Well, and then there was kids that sat in the front row, like a family with kids, and I'm like, oh. My last joke was like something about sometimes I have to sprinkle red pepper flakes on his dick to feel something. It's not true. It's a roast joke.
It's like,
but like they didn't know that, so they just thought I came on stage and completely ripped him apart as a person, and then he had to go and sing these like sweet songs, and I'm like, and I didn't allow myself to see the reality of the situation until like 3 days later.
It's intimidating.
I was so
It's hard enough to roast
embarrassed.
and do comedy, and then
Yeah, I was.
you're still together. Look at that.
I can't believe it. I can't believe we're still together. It's that was the most embarrassing. I would never talk to me again.
Well, they say you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, so I guess you really tested
I like that phrase.
theory.
I test it every day. Test it every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
You're like, and then I blew him that night. I felt so.
Oh, I felt so bad. I felt so bad. But I was also humiliated. But like days later, because I'm like, oh no, I read that room wrong.
Yeah.
Like I didn't allow myself to take it in yet.
I've been there.
It
Every
sucks.
gig you learn. You're like, all right, next time I'm in a show with shitty lighting, I'll say this or this.
That's
and
what
that.
being an empath too. Doing stand up, you're like, I don't want to feel your feelings, like, and when the audience hates you, like that still happens every once in a while, not as much. But when they hate you, and you got to do like 20 minutes, you just want to die.
Okay, but would you rather bomb or do mid?
Bomb.
It's bomb. It's always bomb.
Oh, I'll
When you're
take
doing
the whole.
fine. You're
Yeah.
like, why is this just fine?
Right.
You don't hate me. You
Right.
don't love me.
Right.
I'd rather you hate me.
Yes.
And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Because the worst is having jokes that you're like, they're fine. They're not killer.
Yeah.
They're fine. And you're like, how
Yeah.
do I make them killer? There's something here. And feeling you can't figure it out. Whether you just throw a joke up
hate
there and you
that.
go, oh, nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was way out of left field.
Just all y'all are texting.
I was,
You're all on your phones.
yeah, you're like, okay, lost
This is
you
a
guys.
club.
Okay,
Comedy club.
too hard of it left.
You got your phone out of the pouch to text. You
Yeah.
cut the pouch.
You broke the rules. You're like, I've
That's
had
how
enough.
bored you were.
You're like, no, get her another escort.
Yeah.
Stat.
Truly.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap. This has been so
this
fun.
is fun.
I know I've been meaning to have you on for such a long time, so I'm
Yeah.
glad this worked out. I was back in town.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Everybody can listen to. You have 2 podcasts. Sorry, I
do.
didn't mention that up top.
Yeah.
The Voices in Your Head is
The
your
Voices
other one.
in Our Head is my solo podcast, and then Guys We Fucked is my podcast house with Corinne Fisher. And follow me on Instagram at Krystyna Hutch. I need all the followers. KRYSTYNA.
Yes, and you guys also go on tour solo together.
Yeah, yep.
All that jazz. So follow Krystyna. It's a fun follow. You're making some great, hilarious workout content also recently.
Thank you.
I was looking at it, just cracking me up. And you can find us at Shooters Gotta Shoot Pod, and I'm at Sperica on most things, or ericaspera.com for all shows and stuff like that. So thank you again. This has been so fun.
Thanks,
and,
Erica.
Talk to you guys next week. Bye.